Welcome into another week of our Arkansas football recruiting report. We're, of course, joined by one of the most knowledgeable guys in the recruiting game for Arkansas, Otis Kirk. Otis, thank
Mm.
you for taking the time this weekend. I want to just dive right in because we have a big flip in football.
Oh man.
Quincy McAdoo coming from the ACC, decommitting from Florida State, and now committing to Arkansas.
Yeah, and to me, and I put this on Twitter, like Quincy to me is the closest thing to Traylon Burks that I've seen out there in Arkansas. I mean, this is not your average receiver. This is a big time kid, 6'3", about 180, can go up and make the catches. Nick Walters had a good video of him going up to his high point and catching a pass. I'm telling you, that was a heck of a pickup for Quincy, for Arkansas getting Quincy. He can run. He's very versatile. He can play other positions, but of course you're not going to play him in other positions if you're going to play him a receiver. But he's very capable of playing. He could be a safety. He could be a running back. He can do a lot of things. And I haven't exactly named who I think is the best player in the state of Arkansas, but you've got three linemen, two kids at Maumelle, one at Joe T. Robinson. But I think other than them, and if you go from a non-lineman, I think Quincy's probably the best player in Arkansas. If you're talking about a non-lineman, you got those three kids out there plus the big lineman at Greenland too, J.J. Hollingsworth. But Quincy is. He's just, it was a great pickup for them. And I know I said that, but I'm just saying over and over because he's the closest thing to Traylon Burks. And that speaks volumes. He's got good speed, got good hands. He's the total package at receiver.
And a high
Arkansas
ceiling if you're young too. I mean,
Oh
if you're
yeah.
every time you're going for Florida State, I mean that's also a really good school. So I mean that speaks to his talent level, and also there's going to be some talent on his high school team with a tight end commit, Dax Courtney, moving to play with McAdoo for
Yeah.
his senior year.
Yeah. Mark will be the head coach there. Mark Courtney, that's Dax's dad. He was at DeWitt, and now Dax and Mark are both going over to Clarendon. The coach that was at Clarendon is going to move into administration. So it's a win-win for everybody involved. But I'm telling you here, Dax Courtney told me, and I can say this now, I couldn't say this a few months ago, but he told me right after Quincy committed to Florida State. He said he will not go to Florida State. He said I'm not going to let him go to Florida State. He said I'm going to play at Clarendon next year. I didn't know Mark was going to be the head coach, but Dax told me he was going to play at Clarendon the next year. He said, well, no, wasn't going to let Quincy. He said he'll be at Arkansas, and so I thought, okay, Dax, because Dax talks a lot, and Dax is sharp. He and Joyner and those kids can really recruit. But I didn't know for sure that, if that was wishful thinking or if it was reality. Turns out it was reality. I mean, it's playing out exactly like you said. And with Dax going there, that gives a very good Clarendon team last year. Two of their losses were to Fordyce, who won the state championship. That gives Clarendon a very good football team. And you add in a Division I tight end, Division I receiver, and then Quincy's got a little brother. It's not too bad either. So, yeah, they've got some talent over at Clarendon. And I can't wait to get over and watch them play. And I tell you, Dax is about 6'6" receiver, a tight end, and then a 6'3" wide receiver. So Clarendon is back in football. Well, they were pretty good last year. I can't say they're back because they were pretty dang good last year. Like I said, two of their losses were the state championship. But they're going to be even better, and I'm glad for Mark to get to land there after the deal at DeWitt. He's going to land on his feet at Clarendon, have a good team, good program, and we'll see how it turns out for him. I think it'll turn out really good. I've known Mark since he's been at a few schools. He was down at Dumas when I went down to see Will Gregg commit to Arkansas. So Mark's been around, but he's a very good football coach, and Clarendon's getting a good one. They had a good coach, and they're getting another good coach.
Lose to the state champion, bring in a couple of really good talents. Now you're looking at maybe a state favorite in Clarendon because of Quincy McAdoo and Dax Courtney. Now, these high school kids, I mean, the big story, and I know we mentioned it last week, was that camps and official visits are now being allowed to start on June 1st.
Right.
So that's going to be a really busy June for Arkansas and also these kids. And you wanted to dive a little deeper onto what that might mean for Arkansas.
Yeah, it's not just camps, but official visits again and unofficial visits. So, yeah, June is going to be a time when I probably won't plan for very many hours off, much less no days, but not very many hours off. Yeah, I mean they're going to start official visitors on June the 4th through the 6th. And Miles Rouser, who's committed to Arkansas from Michigan, is among those visitors that weekend. We've talked about Tyrus Washington on here a couple of weeks. He and his teammate, the linebacker, will be here. Chandler Smith's a receiver out of Orlando that I really like. He's got great speed, 10.5 kid and 100 meters. He's going to be here. They've got some kids. Trey Emery is going to be here on the June the 25th weekend, 27th. For Trey is someone that had an illness, was in the hospital quite a bit this spring. He's still not 100% back, but he's got 4 official visits set up. And Arkansas is getting that 4th one. And he is somebody you pull for, big 6'4", 300-pound defensive tackle. He's out of Mount Pleasant, Texas. Very good football player. Manny Powell's a linebacker I don't think I've talked about over here. He's from Canton McKinley up in Ohio. He'll be here the second weekend, June the 11th. And I'm supposed to talk to him later today or tomorrow. And he's about 6'3", 230. 225, 230. He can play inside or outside linebacker. He's what you look for. He's got that skill set that he's very versatile, got good speed, good pursuit. They got Caden Henley from Shiloh committed, who I love, but they're probably going to sign at least a couple more linebackers to go with Caden. And Manny Powell would be a great one to get, very good one to get there. And then speaking of Dax Courtney, he and Eli Anderson and some of those commitments will be here on the September 11th weekend for the Texas game. They'll be here to official visit the weekend of the Texas game. And, and so we'll see. Right now, there's a couple of them committed to come in that weekend on visit. I think they'll bring in as many of the commitments as they can to get them together, be able to bond there and have them for the Texas game. Because you're going to get to see your first Texas Arkansas game. You're going to love that. It's different than any atmosphere you've been to in Arkansas. Any Arkansas game you go to, they hate Texas, the fans do. I mean, Southwest Conference days, and that's going to be a wild crowd that night. And it's smart of Sam and the staff to get as many visitors in that weekend and see the atmosphere, because I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy that weekend. It's going to be wild. I hope the weather is good that weekend, but it's going to be a crazy atmosphere anyway. I was at a Texas game one time when I was younger, Arkansas and Texas over Little Rock, where it was pouring down rain. Arkansas fans found buckets somewhere and was getting buckets of water pouring down on the Texas players as they were going into the dressing room. I mean, I don't know where you get buckets in the stands at a football game, but they found some. But it was in Little Rock. It was crazy, but I mean, that's what you get. And then one time they beat Texas and Little Rock, and they were throwing cotton stuff out on the field because Arkansas was getting to go to the Cotton Bowl. So it's crazy, and it's a great atmosphere, and it's smart of them to bring in those visitors that weekend. You're going to enjoy that weekend, I'm telling you, Nick. It's going to be
worth. It's going to be definitely going to be fun.
One weekend is going to be worth your
entire.
If,
like Home Depot and Lowe's are going to be sold out of buckets on that weekend.
Yeah, if it's raining, it won't stop the fans, because like I said, I don't know where you get buckets in the stands, but they had some, and they're pouring it on the players, which I don't know. Players mind that because they've been out there playing in the rain for hours anyway. So I don't know, a little bit more water probably didn't hurt them anyway. But I guess the Arkansas fan felt good about being able to do that.
Well, you have a busy June, and we're looking forward to September. Yeah. I think the one thing about these spring games and these scrimmages is what we've seen is while official visits, are going to start in June. These recruits have been coming to scrimmages already on their own to watch the games, and a punter from Georgia, Alex Bacchetta, was actually at yesterday's red-white game.
Yeah, they can't have communication with the coaches, but they can when kids can come to the games, the scrimmages and the games when fans are invited. In other words, if fans are invited, then recruits can come. They can't have contact with the coaches. But yeah, he was here. AJ Green, a stud running back. I mean, a 4-star out of Tulsa Union that signed with Arkansas in December. He was here. Dax Courtney was here. J.J. Hollingsworth was here. John Stanley Hill, a defensive end from Dumas. I know he was here. Hill was here. I didn't know that was a tongue twister, but I guess it is. But anyway, no, John Stanley Hill was here. But there were some kids. I don't know who all was here. I was busy. I think I wrote four. Well, I know I've written four stories from that scrimmage, so I've been pretty busy. But yeah, it's great for the kids to come, especially when someone flies in from Georgia to see a 2-hour practice game. That's impressive. It shows you they're interested. And he's got offers to Arkansas and Virginia. Number 1 punter in the nation, number 7 kicker. I believe that's with Jamie Cole, if I'm not mistaken. Cole's kicking, who does an outstanding job with that. So yeah, I mean it shows you a level of strong interest for a kid to come in. And I want people to understand they pay for, well, maybe the parents, but the school doesn't pay for that. The kids or the parents pay for that visit. So, and the transportation and everything here. So school can't pay any of that. So that's impressive that they do that. And it happens. I mean, Curly Thomas, a big time Arkansas target out of Fort Worth Nolan Catholic, a defensive end who's going to take an official visit here, was at Texas Tech yesterday. This gives the kids a chance to go see schools, and and we'll see how that worked out with Curly, because I know that he's got Arkansas and Texas Tech and a few other schools on his top list.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive to gauge the interest. I don't know if I've ever flown 2 hours to watch a practice. So I mean that should tell you a lot.
The flight
right
was
there.
probably longer than the game. It was 2 hours.
Yeah, count the flight back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Otis,
it's impressive when it's a level of commitment from the kid to do that. It shows interest.
I hope now you can have some time off before you get super busy in June. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, our Hogville insider, Otis Kirk, for our Arkansas football recruiting report.
Good to have you here, Nick, and thanks for having me on here, man. Appreciate you. Thank you.